I really enjoy spending time in my sewing studio, not just for sewing but also taking care for my plants. My favorite indoor plant is the pothos, and I have several of them around the room. Over the summer, they have grown a lot, as some of the vines had grown long enough to reach the floor. I made the tough decision to trim the long vines and start propagating them. It wasn't easy, but it was necessary. Propagating pothos is pretty simple. I prepared some glass containers and filled them with water. Using scissors, I cut 3 to 4 cm sections of the stem, each with a leaf and at least one node. Then I gathered the cuttings into a small bouquet and placed them in water. After that, I filled the containers so that the nodes were completely underwater. I'm excited for the cuttings to grow roots so I can plant them. But sewing is what I really enjoy doing in my creative space. Previously, I shared the video where I put together the sewing pattern for a vest, Simplicity number 3067. I have already made a toile and it turned out well. In this video, I'm planning to sew the final version using some fabric I thrifted a while back. The pattern pieces are already cut out, so I'm all set to begin sewing. To make the sewing process more efficient, I grouped certain steps together. I began by pinning the pieces, side fronts to the front panels, the two back pieces together, and then attached the side back sections to the back. Once all the pieces were pinned, I sewed them together one by one. Next, I pressed the seams flat and top stitched along them. I used the left side of the presser foot as a stitching guide for even spacing. Finally, I stitched the back to the front at the shoulders. Once that was done, I moved on to the lining. I cut out the pieces and stitched them together. This fabric is another thrifted find with a beautiful green pattern which goes well with the main fabric. constructed the lining similarly to the main fabric, just without adding any top stitching. After finishing the front and back sections of the lining, I wrapped up sewing for the day. But before I left my sewing room, I did some rearranging. Before our summer trip, I got this wooden plant stand, but didn't have time to find a spot for it. Now I have cleaned it properly and found the perfect place, next to the cart. I moved the plant from the fabric cabinet to the top of the stand. It had outgrown that space, and its leaves were covering the clock. In its new home, it can grow larger and longer. I added a new plant to the fabric cabinet, one I had propagated and planted myself. I picked up this beautiful planter at a thrift store during my last trip to Germany. In mid-September, we had lovely autumn weather, so we took advantage of it and went on a little trip. We visited Baja, which is a charming little town in the southern part of Hungary, located on the left bank of the Danube River. We walked along the Sugovica, which is a branch of the Danube. There is an observation tower at the confluence of the Danube and the Sugovica, which offers a stunning view of the meeting point of these rivers. We took a short break on a bench by the river and watched the boats and canoes passing by. Many people were out on the water, enjoying the lovely weather. I took my knitting with me and made some progress on the cardigan. I have already completed the back and now I'm working on the left front. We had a great time during this short trip. A few days later, I returned to my sewing studio and continued working on the vest. After I stitched the back lining to the front at the shoulders, I pinned the lining to the main fabric inside out and stitched along the neck, front and lower edges and along the armholes. came the most exciting part of the sewing, turning the vest inside out. It was so exciting to see it all come together. It turned out quite well. I tried to press the edges, but this green fabric is really difficult to iron because it doesn't hold its shape. I didn't want to use a very hot iron, and I even used a pressing cloth to protect the fabric from damage. The next step was joining the front and back sections at the sides. At first, I found it a bit confusing and wasn't quite sure how I supposed to do it, but after going over the instructions a couple of times, I figured it out. I pinned the main fabric pieces together along with only part of the lining, leaving the middle sections open. Then I stitched everything in place. I will close the middle part of the lining by hand. Then I top stitched the armhole edges. Because the green fabric was hard to press, I pinned the edges to keep everything in place by sewing. I used the left side of the presser foot as a stitching guide for even spacing. Since the lining and the main fabric were different colors, I used matching thread for each, beige in the bobbin and green for the top thread. I also top stitched along the front, neckline and bottom edges. The next step was making the buttonholes. I used a guide to mark the placement of the buttonholes. Before sewing the buttonholes, I tested them on a fabric scrap to make sure everything was set up correctly. Only after that did I begin working on the actual vest. The test went well, but I was still a bit nervous about getting the buttonholes right. I sewed on the buttons and the vest was finished. I still need to make the matching skirt and the blouse, and then I can show you the full outfit. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like, leave a comment and subscribe so you won't miss what's coming next. See you next time.